Now, in the latest disaster for our armed forces, our woke army, Royal Air Force cadets, have been ordered members to stop using the word marksman and marksmanship as part of a gender-neutral rebrand. Putin will be petrified. And this, of course, is coming after a row with the Ministry of Defence over diversity policies, which have led to Defence Secretary Grant Shapps intervening over fears about the effectiveness of our armed forces. Well, I can get the view now of social policy analyst Dr. Rakib Ehsan. Welcome to the show, Rakib. Always a pleasure. What can you say about this? Are you remotely surprised we have an army now more obsessed with pronouns and diversity and inclusion than actually doing the job?
Well, I'm not surprised at all when it comes to the Royal Air Force. As we know, this is an organisation which is found to conduct unlawful activities in its recruitment processes, in its ethnic minority recruitment drive, where you had recruitment officers referring to useless white male pilots. So this latest identitarian embarrassment doesn't come as any surprise to me at all. And I think, Martin, the main issue here is that in the sphere of defence, we're seeing a lot of this identitarian thinking in an effort to be more inclusive. But I think, in a sense, that this culture, this unholy trinity of diversity, equity, and inclusion, it'll actually put people off, I think, in terms of joining these organisations.
Well, you're absolutely right, and the figures back that up, Rakib. We've got the smallest army since Napoleonic times, the smallest RAF since it was formed after World War I. So many broken ships, they're being decommissioned. We've got no missiles to fire, and our Trident launch was about as effective as a box of fireworks. Meanwhile, Rakib, we've got 93 diversity networks, including 10 for gender issues. Plus, we're about to not give any more money to defence. Meanwhile, Putin is spending 8% of GDP on defence and is on a war footing, and we are worried about pronouns. How on earth do we sort this nonsense out?
Well, firstly, I'd make the point, Martin, that we're in this dire situation after 14 years of Tory-led rule. It's quite remarkable to see these developments in the spheres of defence and security. And it's quite shameful, really, that we have this developing DEI infrastructure developing in these spheres, when many of the people who have the responsibility of protecting our interests, putting their lives on the line, are actually very poorly paid, Martin, and quite often they're given forms of accommodation which are anything but decent. So I think there's a grave injustice there. In terms of how do we go about it, people are talking about, we need a new defence and security strategy review. The reality is that we're not devoting enough of our public expenditure towards defence and security. And if we are devoting public expenditure towards it, there's a great deal of wastefulness on these kind of initiatives, which in my view are going to lower standards.
You're absolutely right. We're going to have to leave it there. Dr. Rakib Ehsan, social policy analyst. I don't know, they could just get rid of every position in the land, couldn't they, about diversity and inclusion? They're sending people from the Royal Navy now on climate change courses. They're worried about climate change while the Houthi rebels are taking over our ships. You couldn't make it up.